NYSE Governance Services presents the Board Governance Series, with series contributors Meridian Compensation Partners, Board Vantage, and Deloitte. On this edition, Executive Compensation, Incentives, Performance, and Metrics, with Christina Medland, Partner, Meridian Compensation Partners.
Hi, I'm Laura Finn, web editor of boardmember.com, and today I'm pleased to welcome Christina Medland to the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Christina is a partner with Meridian Compensation Partners. Christina, thanks for joining me today.
My pleasure.
Compensation committees spend a lot of time and thought on performance plans. How can they make sure that they use the right metrics to reward the right performance?
Determining performance metrics and actually assessing performance targets is one of the most difficult things that a compensation committee has to do. Like so many other of the important responsibilities of a committee, it really does start though with a clear understanding of strategy. From there, it's really the committee's responsibility to provide some balance in the process and to make sure that the metrics chosen are clearly aligned with strategy, that they reward behaviors that are aligned with long-term share performance, and that they are incenting an appropriate amount of risk. And it's also, of course, critical that they provide a competitive compensation opportunity. This is a lot to try and do, and it's important to know that all plans don't have to do all things. So an annual incentive plan can actually be the key driver of performance and behavior, and the long-term plan can be used more as a tool for creating that alignment. With annual metrics, it's important that there be a clear link in the annual plan between the things that need to be accomplished this year and the strategy that needs to be accomplished 5 years out, for example.
Right.
Different metrics are important for different businesses. A high-growth real estate company, for example, may look at funds from operation and revenue growth, whereas a mining company might look at production targets and reserve regeneration.
How can committees make sure they have the right amount of stretch in their incentive plans?
I think the starting place is really to understand what we mean by stretch. Conventional wisdom would say that a threshold in an incentive plan should be achievable about 85% of the time, target 50 to 60% of the time, and maximum about 15, maybe 20% of the time. With that backdrop, it's then important for the committee to really understand whether there is that kind of stretch in their target setting. And we think that committees should really look at this through 4 lenses. The first, and this is the lens that committees almost always look at it, is what we call an internal absolute lens. So that's really performance relative to the budget or the operating plan. It's actually the most difficult to set because you have no external references for that. But it's an important starting point, and the question that the committee really needs to ask itself is how much stretch is in that budget. It's perfectly appropriate for a budget to have a 90 or 95% certainty that it will be achieved. But that doesn't mean that the budget number then is the appropriate number for the compensation target. It may be the right number for threshold.
Right.
The second lens is internal relative, and that's really change year over year. And again, this is something that compensation committees are getting much better at looking at. And we recommend that compensation committees have a 5-year look back provided by management. So what was performance each of the last 5 years? How did the company perform against those targets? And what that sometimes shows is that you may have consistent outperformance against targets. And that may be a really good thing because you may be a very high performing company, or it may be an indication that targets are being set on a basis that's too low. And it's really important to understand which of those 2 situations you're dealing with, because the one thing you don't want to do is demotivate a management team by continually raising the bar just because they perform exceptionally. The third lens is really external relative. And that's where a compensation consultant can add a lot of value, because we can do a very detailed examination of performance in your particular sector. And help the committee assess if you're a manufacturing company, is a 3% growth year over year excellent performance, okay performance or poor performance. And so providing that lens is very helpful. And the final lens is really external absolute, and that's measuring or assessing your targets against what the market expects. I understand that there's some real circularity to that because the market expects what you tell them to expect, but there is a really good double check between what it is you say you're going to accomplish in your market information and what your plans are measuring and paying for.
With all of the focus, especially by proxy advisory firms, on compensation, is there any room for comp committees to use their discretion when they're awarding pay?
Absolutely, and I think we're really moving to a much better place in terms of discretion. We did go through a period where discretion was really vilified. I think there's an understanding now that the best processes, the best target setting, can't get it right in all circumstances, and there is no substitute for thoughtful judgment by the compensation committee. And we really suggest that our compensation committees make adjustments to payouts when there's really a clear and compelling rationale and it's something they feel comfortable disclosing. And if you meet those tests, you're probably in really pretty good shape to be exercising discretion.
Certainly a difficult time for compensation committees right now. So I appreciate you coming to share some insights.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Thanks, Chris. And thank you so much for watching this edition of the Board Governance Series.
Christina Medland can be reached at cmedlin@meridiancp.com. The Board Governance Series is a presentation of NYSE Governance Services.